This is the Lyndsay Stafford Show.
All right, welcome back to the Lyndsay Stafford Show. We are in our series right now featuring local legends across Middle Tennessee, sharing their stories of entrepreneurship, the journeys, the highs, the lows, all of it. And I am super excited today. I'm always excited to have my guest here, but I'm very excited to have Kara Bogetti. And maybe it's because your name is fun to say, but it's also because I can't wait to have you share your journey and your story. Kara's, I'll let you tell us a little bit about your business, but she's a broker of the Bogetti
Partners.
Okay,
yeah.
I knew I said I know I'm going to say it wrong.
Yeah, you're
I
good.
was so focused on saying your name right.
I know. It gets botched most of the time, so you did really well there.
But you have a really fun story of coming here, but also some fun story that you work with your husband. And that's always a unique dynamic when it's a partner duo in a business. So thanks for being here, Kara.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And it's weird for you, I'm sure, because you're on the other side, because Kara has her own podcast. What's it called?
Work-life balance.
Okay, work-life balance. Check that out too.
Yeah,
Kara.
that's fun.
So you're on the other side. Tell us a little bit about how you started Bogetti Partners.
Okay, so thank you again for having me. This is
maybe
gonna be so fun.
Yeah.
But almost 4 years ago, which is crazy, time's flying, but we moved here from California. And so I have my brokerage there as well. And when we moved, we didn't come with a plan. It was 2020 and let's just pick up the kids and roll
Get the hell out.
Get the hell out. We had enough. The kids were out of school, all the things, right? I'm sure you've heard the story. So my husband being a general contractor, me being a real estate agent, we're like, we can do this, I would assume anywhere, but came with no family, no friends, just literally picked up and rolled out. So got here, hung my license with a company out of Nashville for a minute and then realized I've been on my own for so many years. I've been in the business 20 years. So I just said, let's just take the leap. And I opened Bogetti Partners with one gal. And now we've got 9 agents and just growing. And it's just, it's a blessing. It was a big leap, but I think it all just kind of fell into place and it's just growing and fun.
Well, God's plan always finds a way.
That's true.
No matter what, right? But it sounds, so how many kids do you have?
I've got 3 boys.
Okay. And how old are they?
19, 18, and 14.
Okay. And everybody kind of thinks they don't need you. It's they're older.
Oh, gosh.
But
Opposite.
I'm a mom of teens. I have 17 and my son will be 15 next month.
Oh, yeah.
And my daughter will be 18 in March.
Wow.
So they need you more, I think, in those years than they did even when they're young. And I know parents, maybe if your kids are young and you're hearing this, you're like, no, how could it be more?
I know.
But it's different. It's different. It's not the physical grunt work. It's just a different piece of the pie. But they came here, all came with you.
Yeah.
And you just started.
We just picked up.
So what did you learn? Tell us about what you learned from that massive relocation. Did you plan it?
Kind of. I mean, we planned that we knew we needed to go. And if we were going to go, what better time than 2020 when everything was shut down? California was shut down.
Right.
Y'all out here were you at least had school out open and sports were going and stuff. We had nothing. Kids were at home. They weren't learning anything. I mean, my son was eating a bagel, taking PE class online. You know what I mean? It was a joke. I was like, we're done with this. We're not getting anywhere.
Those two do not go
They
together.
don't go together. So I'm like, this is going to be a waste of education for a year.
Yeah.
So my husband and I came out with a group of friends to party in Nashville, did the adult fun, all the things. And we were like, okay, this is fun. But we were obviously not going to live downtown Nashville raising kids. So it wasn't what we wanted. We wanted a little elbow room. So we took a drive out to Leapers Fork area and we fell in love. It was space and it was the black fences and the horses and everything that we really wanted. So we went home and said, hey, boys, do you want to go out and see it? We're really thinking about it. And they were like, yeah. So we brought them out for a long weekend and they're like, done.
They were just happy to get out of the house.
Yeah, right? They're like,
Yes,
get on
we'll
a
move.
plane, go somewhere. What? Okay, cool. So yeah, we came out, drove them around, and they were all like, if you want to sell the house and move,
Wow.
we're on board. We came back, we listed the house, and we sold right before Thanksgiving, and we were on the road the day after Christmas. It happened like that. There was no do we have a job?
Wait, when did you come out to visit the first time?
We came out in the summer.
So
it all happened
July.
Yeah.
So 6 months from
Yes.
visit to move.
Yes. Yeah.
What's been the hardest shock? What's been the biggest shock between moving to Nashville versus California?
So we're Central Valley, California. So the Modesto Ripon, if anybody knows of California, it's very agricultural based. So it's not from Southern California here.
Okay.
It's definitely similar. So the environment hasn't been that big of a change. I think the niceness of people out here is very refreshing. And that's been that little Southern hospitality is not so California. You know, everywhere you see don't California my Tennessee or don't California my Leapers Fork. I mean, we truly came with that. Like, we're not bringing any of that BS. Like, that's not even us anyways. We're leaving all that, right? So that's been, I think, the biggest blessing, and just meeting nice, genuine people give a about you here. Like, they actually want you to succeed, and they love you. And like, it's just cool. It's just different in that way.
Yeah, it's a different place to be. I have had some business in Texas recently, and I'm shocked at the difference in visiting or seeing in one area versus the next. And not that one is better than the other, but there is a culture in an area.
Yeah. Which is great.
Yeah.
And I feel like we found it right here, and I don't want to have to move. I just love it. Like,
And Leapers Fork is absolutely stunning. It's just a beautiful place to be.
it's a special place.
Yeah. So tell us about, you started the firm. Okay. So you were working with somebody else for like a hot minute, but anyone who is an entrepreneur knows once you've been on your own,
It's hard.
it's very difficult to work for somebody else.
Right.
For many, many reasons. So when you decided to start your own brokerage, how did you feel in that process? Like,
It was
was
nerve-wracking.
there fear?
Yeah.
Or were you like, I've got this?
No fear, because I'd had it before, but by myself, not growing like with people under me that I need to take care of or like feel responsibility for and all of that. So like, I guess I should preface with the gal that is like my right hand girl. Her name's Maggie, and she's also on the podcast, like our work-life balance podcast with me. But I met, and this is just a long story short, so just so you understand it. I took my son to go tour UT Knoxville. And after the tour, we decided we needed a cocktail. So we go into the little local bar right there, and she's the bartender. So we just strike up conversation. Long story, she's like, okay, I'm coming back to Franklin getting my real estate license. I graduate in a couple months. Can I come shadow you? And I was like, I'm still kind of new.
I don't even know what I'm doing
I don't
here.
really know. Like, I'm still kind of new, but sure. So she graduated that like in, I think, May. She was out here immediately, jumped on with me, and then was like, would you be open with a team? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I've never really done a team. And so we just like joined forces. And I mean, she's just that 23, eager, so like hardworking, and just everything fell into place. And it was getting over the fear of me, like feeling like stressed that I was going to have to be responsible for her, you know, making money, because it's already stressful to make your own money. Then you got somebody else that you feel responsible for. And so once I got out of my own way and was like, this girl has the fire in her eyes, she's going to go the long distance on this. Well, I'd be dumb not to like invest in her. And she just brings a great dynamic. So I was like, I'm going to open my own. What do you think? You know, and she was like, let's do it. So that's kind of how it started. I kind of had her as just like my sounding board, like, okay, am I doing this? You know, what do you think? Not knowing that she doesn't know anything. She's brand new. But she was like my little voice of, you can do this, Kara, like, go for it. And once I did it, it was like no regrets. And it was like, okay, how many agents are we signing now? Like, it's wild.
Let's bring more people on. So you got through that. And I love that you shared that I was afraid to do that. And I think it's important for anyone who is in business or wants to have their own business to know that pretty much everybody has fear when they are going out on their own or doing something new for their business that they haven't done. It's about facing that and just finding the right people to support you through it. So you made the decision. Do you remember what it was that made you say, I'm going to try it, to expand?
I already knew, like, even when I interviewed with the broker that because it was just like a 100% commission kind of brokerage. I just needed to hang my license. I didn't need broker support or whatever. So when I had my first meeting with their principal broker, and he asked me like what, I was like, look, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to be on my own sooner. You know, that's the goal.
Yeah.
And so but it was just taking the steps. And again, like being here, not knowing anybody, not even having a family member. Like I started from ground zero. Like it was scratch. Like, so I was really having to build my networking. And the good thing is my husband and I are very social. So we like to go out to dinner and restaurants and like, so we meet people, you know.
Sure.
So I'd always be like, okay, talking about it. Like just, that was how I was having to get clients and just really getting out and networking. And it just kind of snowballed into what it was. And it made it not as scary once Like I got a few under my belt, and then it was like, okay, I've got the confidence. I know what I'm doing.
Right.
Just take the leap of faith here and like make it happen.
And that's such a good point because you've done it, just not here.
Right.
So you just had to, it's that we were talking about this earlier today. The imposter syndrome takes over. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't live here. I don't know the area.
Yep.
All those thoughts can creep in and you just have to shut it out and just build your competence. Competence breeds confidence.
Yes.
And vice versa. So if you continue to just do the work, you gain the confidence and you get better in the process.
Well, it makes you grow. Like you're like, okay, actually, I can get past that. Like everything that, and I feel like I've watched some of your episodes, and I think one of like the things that a lot of people say is your support system is super important. And I think with Maggie and obviously my husband and, you know, my kids, like I've got the support. It was just, Kara, get the hell out of your own way. Like, you can do this. Like, why are you even second guessing it? But it was, I think for me, it was just taking on the responsibility of somebody else. And like, I can do it myself, and I don't feel like I'm letting you down.
Yes.
But when you start to have other people that depend on you, it brings on a different stress.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's a very different ballgame when you know somebody else in their family is relying on you to be successful.
That's pressure.
And I think that keeps a lot of business owners from scaling their business to what it could be.
Exactly.
Maybe not the only thing, but that's part of it is the responsibility of another person, training them, teaching them, being responsible for them.
Yep.
And you were able to overcome that, which is huge. A lot of business owners that I talk to hundreds of business owners a month, and a lot of business owners that I talk to are stuck.
Yeah.
They might have people that they outsource to do social media or something like that. But as far as like putting a team, no, I don't want to do that.
Right.
So what do you say to someone who's in that position that's like, well, I'm really successful on my own, and you clearly were.
Well, I can totally answer that because it's exactly what it was. And it was like, there is something to say about that. Okay, how do I say it, like articulate that? Because when you're so used to doing it your own way, giving that, like my name is on everything. It's my last name is the company. So like for me to give you the keys to the palace, like there's a lot of question that what if she doesn't do it right? What if
my name is on this? What if they leave a bad impression?
Correct.
What if they don't serve people the way
that
I
was
would
the hugest,
do it?
That was the hugest thing. Like for me to be like, okay, Maggie, she's got it. Like I've taught her enough. She's basically a mini me. Go run with it. And when I realized that I could back up and let her take it, that's when it scaled. And that's the only way I can tell any business owner, if you do want to scale, you literally got to get out of your own way. That you've got to give up control.
Okay, the control piece is
That's
it's
hard.
real. It's so real. So many people cannot let go.
No.
But I want to go back to Maggie, and I love how you found her. I have met so many people the same way.
Yeah.
I used to travel a lot. I spent 5 years with Nike, and I oversaw the central U.S. So I was on a plane like 3 or 4 times a week, most weeks. And I would always come home and be like, oh, I met this guy on a plane. And my husband's like, every time you travel, I met this guy on a plane. Yeah. You ever meet women? But it's just a lot of women traveling. It just happened to be that way. Yeah. He's, totally teasing me. But the control that you have is really hard to let go of.
Sure.
It is so hard to let go of that. But it's so important to hire slow and fire quick, find the right person. And so you obviously found that. Mm-hmm. And I think I know what you're going to say. And for everyone listening, Kara and I don't know each other prior to this, okay?
No.
So this is not, we don't pre-plan any of any of my episodes. I don't think you do either on your show.
We wing
so
it.
it's organic. It's what it is.
Yeah.
But we don't know each other. But I do think I know what you're going to say. But when you met her, what made you decide that she was the person? How did you evaluate the hiring?
She has a fire in her eyes that, I mean, I'm telling you, she's a different beast for 23. Well, she's 24 now, but like, I've never seen such confidence. And I knew when if she was gonna do this, it was gonna go all the way. Like I could just see it through her. You'll get to meet her because you're gonna come on ours, I'm sure, and we'll meet again. But she's just got that drive, and that was something that I'm super like attracted to, people that want to grow and have the drive and entrepreneurial spirit and all that. And I saw it in her at such a young age that was like, oh my gosh, I would be dumb not to give her the opportunity. Mm-hmm. And it just happened authentically. Like We were just having a drink and we just happened to have psychology degrees and happened to be the same. Like everything was the same. She was like a mini me at that age.
Wait, I like you.
Yeah. I was like, I think I know you. You remind me of myself.
Have we met before?
So yeah, it's just, I saw the drive. That's really what it is. So
You didn't have, and this is a great topic for us to spend a few minutes on.
okay.
You did not have a list of, you need to know how to do these things to come shadow me or work with me. It was a will versus skill. You hired for her will
Absolutely.
and her personality and her traits that she had.
Oh yes. I would
You
do
based
10
it on
times over.
who you are and you
Mhm.
teach the skills.
Yep.
And that is how I have always made my hiring decisions. And back when I reported to somebody else for that,
Uh-huh.
I got a lot of pushback on I remember I'm going decades back now.
That's okay.
And I was a store manager in Bath and Body Works. I spent a couple of years there as a store manager way back in the day. And I met this girl at church. I was at a youth group dropping my oldest now off. She was young then. And I met this girl and I was just like, she will be a great co-manager. And I'd just taken over this disaster of a store. I mean, horrible.
Oh boy.
And if you're in retail, it's like, the back room was a mess. Team was chaotic, no systems, all the crazy things. And I just knew she was going to be great. And her name's Julie. She's still a friend of mine. She's been married since, but I brought her in and it was like she's been a nurse. What? She doesn't know anything about retail. I'm like, trust me.
Yeah.
She's going to be great. And that is and she was, by the way, she now has her own organizing business in Maine called Spruced Up Maine by Julie. But she went on to be a very successful store manager in several different locations for us, but then, for other people. But the pushback I always got when hiring was the skills. They don't have it. They don't have the skills on paper. They don't support what's needed. And I always was like, that's BS. I don't need that. I know if I can see it in somebody, I can teach them everything they need to know.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
yeah.
And when you are making those decisions, I mean, it's almost like you just have to trust your gut in the decision.
Yeah. Because you could have somebody that comes in there that's got all the skills and they're terrible at their job.
Yes.
I can't retrain bad skills
Correct.
that you've learned over the years. And that's great. And they're fine on their own. I'm okay with hiring new agents that are fresh and they're moldable and they want to grow and they see the same trajectory as I do. And as long as they fit in the synergy of the office, because that's important to me, as everybody has we have a great energy in the office. It's just a good vibe. If you ask anybody,
I can't wait to come see it.
Yeah, if you ask anybody that comes to my office, that is one thing they always say. The energy and the vibe is so cool. It's very light. It's not like everybody's with suits on and they're sitting behind a desk searching for houses. No, we're like, so what you got going on? What do you got going on? Everybody just works together.
Collaboration.
Absolutely. So when they're like, well, why do you want all these new agents that don't know anything? I don't care. It's not that hard to sell a house. We base it on relationships, not transactions. And you just said that when we were chatting before we started this conversation I totally believe in that. And so if you can go and sit and talk to somebody like this, you've won me over. I don't care if you can say, well, the comps in your neighborhood appear to be this. And if you don't know what line number 14 looks,
congratulations, you know how to memorize things.
yes, good.
That's great. Good job.
Yeah. But now can you go actually talk and create a relationship where those clients want to spend time with you? Because that's what it's all about.
That's what you need to do, is be a real person. And what we were talking about earlier is just, I'm not interested in transactional business. No. I think that's boring. I don't want that.
Correct.
I want a relationship where I can call or text my clients. And, I've got a client that's coming on today, actually, Tiffany from Learning RX in Franklin. And I was at Staples with my daughter and saw this dog notebook, and Tiffany loves her dogs. And I just got it for her. When I mailed her package that month, I was like, hey, but that's what it's about. It's about people. Mm-hmm. And so if you're doing that in real estate, it's a different world.
It's totally different.
Not everybody is out there doing that.
I would say a majority of realtors are not doing that. I mean, I could go on forever about that. That's a whole different. Well,
we'll focus on what makes you guys special.
Yes, exactly.
At the Bogetti Partners. Yeah, because it's a different story. Okay, so I want to go down this because I think it's relevant and I'm curious. And I knew, by the way, I was right. I knew that's what you're going to say. You just like knew. She just had it.
Good.
It was like the it factor or whatever it was,
It's
right?
the it factor.
It's just they have it. And you got to just listen to that, because sometimes you don't listen to your gut. We just end up taking everybody's feedback. And I hired somebody. I have an assistant that's been with me for years and years and years. She's like family. Her boys are like, I consider them my nephews. Like when I pick up stuff randomly at a store, they love skeletons right now. And I found this pair of gloves at H&M.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I picked them up, and my daughter goes, oh, it's for those, the boys will like that. Like that's,
cute.
you know,
Yes.
right. So, but I hired somebody else, and on paper looked fantastic. And 3 days in, I was like, this is not going to work. No. This is not going to work. And I don't care what skills you have. If you don't have the ability to have a relationship, it doesn't matter. In my book, I can't work with somebody that does that.
I'm with you, girl.
Yeah, it can't happen. Okay, so you talked about talking to people and engaging. And I always say, I think education is extremely important. But I do not agree with what our public schools teach. They teach kids what to think and not how to think.
Sure.
They teach them things that, you know, I can sit here with my kids and I'm curious to hear your perspective on it. And it's like, why on earth do they need to know the periodic table of elements if what they want to do is marketing? It has nothing to do with that.
Correct.
Why do we require kids? No, the basics you need to know, of course, how to read and write and engage and all that.
Sure.
But I would love to see schools change all of those classes for, I don't know, executive functioning skills, because kids right now are just on their phones. They don't know how to engage. And most kids, I'm not talking about yours or mine necessarily, but they don't have the parental influence to the level that we did when we were kids. So they are highly influenced by what they see online, and they lose this ability to communicate with other people effectively. What are your thoughts on that?
They're behind a screen.
Yeah.
They don't have to. It's like whenever our kids get in trouble, that's what the first thing you do. Take their phone away. And they're like, oh my God, life is over. I'm like, really? Because you can't keep your streak going on your Snap? I mean, I don't even know what the hell that means. What is a streak on a I don't even know.
I don't have Snapchat.
I don't have Snap, but that's what they're all on, right?
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. I think for me, I mean, we're all the same. I think all of us parents of our generation, that's not how we grew up. Thankfully, that, you know, everything wasn't put on their phone, right?
Gosh.
For like, as far as the education stuff goes, I have my oldest just came back. He went to Mississippi State for a year, decided college was not for him. Listen, I was raised where you graduated high school and you went straight to college. So I did my 4 years, graduated. So I just pushed that right onto the kids, not really thinking that like, that's not for everybody. That was just the way I thought it was. So he came back and he's like, why are you wasting? I don't, you know, and I'm like, I really have to soul search here because I thought you needed to get here. And so I've decided, like, it's been a challenge just for myself. My husband was like, we already knew he wasn't, like, that's not his jam. He just wants to work.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. So I compromised and I said, give me a business degree. Y'all want to open your own businesses. Every single one of them do. They've always talked about it. And they work, both of my oldest work full time and are going to school at Columbia State just to get their business cert, which is a 1-year program, but it's just business classes. You don't need to take all the English 101 and the stuff that doesn't, if they don't know it by now, they don't need it to run an excavator, or they don't, they just don't.
Well, and can we just talk about the fact that 90% of the stuff that they are teaching in school, the kids can say, hey, Siri, tell me this.
Totally.
Right? Like,
Totally.
I teach my kids how to use their resources and whatever that means, because the phone is always right there. They don't need to know how to do multiplication in their head. I'm sorry. I just think it's ridiculous. They don't need to. They need to know the basics. And by the time you're in middle school, you pretty much know the basics.
Right.
Everything else, it's adapting to the world today. Okay, so
that's it.
Sorry, I went on my little rant there.
No, but I'm totally on the same page as you. And that's why it was like, okay, I need to go, okay, it's actually totally fine. But I said, if you want to open your own business, you do need to know how to run a business,
but those classes make sense for that.
That makes sense. And you can be done in a year and you're working full time. You're taking all these online. Boom. You're good. Like, that's easy. Because my kids are just money driven. Like, our work ethic is on fire. Like, they just want to work. So I can't like stop working. You have to go take English 101. How stupid does that sound?
Yeah.
I mean, some parents might think that's the appropriate way. It just didn't work for my kids.
It doesn't work, I don't think. And I'm pretty vocal about my opinion on that. I didn't graduate college. I went to 3 years of school. thank you, mom and dad. They paid for a very expensive education. And I loved all my business classes. But the other classes, I was like, I don't care about any of this.
Right.
I just want to know the business world. Well, after my junior year, I ended up working and kind of just built my own businesses. And
It's perfect.
I learned a lot in those years, but I also wasted a lot of time on things that didn't matter.
Yep.
So I work with the Entrepreneur Innovation Center in Williamson County with the high school students. I don't know if you know about it.
No.
I talk about it a lot on my podcast, but it's a really great resource for Williamson County. And you might want to think about it for your other boys.
Okay.
Kids that are in high school, all 4 years, can apply to be a part of it. And they go to the Entrepreneur Innovation Center. It's in Franklin. And they actually create a business. They create a product or a business, and they have mentors that are other business owners come in and do mentor days and help. So I'm a mentor with that school. And so I'm there pretty regularly. I work with them to do some things. And when I talk to the kids, especially at the end of the year, like I don't ask, where are you going to college? I say, what are your plans?
Yeah.
Because it is okay. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to graduate. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Right.
Some people, you need to.
If you want to be a doctor, yeah, you got to go. Like,
right.
I get that. But like, if you want to be a real estate agent, a builder, you don't need to go get a contractor or construction degree at a college. Right. You can go get your contractor's license,
and learn from someone who's doing it, because
absolutely.
That's how you learn. I think about the businesses I built, and yeah, I took business classes. I did. I had really great teachers. I took business class. But honestly, most of it I learned from just experience.
That's it.
I screwed up. I made a lot of mistakes.
Well, and I think to your point, get a mentor. I think that's what I was to Maggie. And I would always tell her, I'm here so you don't have to fall off the bike as many times as I did.
Amen.
And so I'm here to save you from making all those mistakes. Let me teach you how to not.
Yeah. I did this wrong.
Yeah, I did that wrong. So
I learned.
Let's go this path instead. And so I think that's so important on for everybody. I mean, I had a mentor when I started this business, back in the day. I think that is to me more valuable if you're going to be a business owner, entrepreneur, somebody that's not, a doctor, attorney, whatever, that has to have a degree.
Sure.
Find the people that do what you do, and be the dumbest person in the room.
I love it. That's totally my philosophy. And you have to drop your ego at the door
100%.
And just say, listen, I don't know what I don't know, but you do.
Yeah.
So can you help me? Can you mentor me or coach, or, find a coach, find a mentor, someone to help. And you should have, for anyone in business, a kind of board of advisors for yourself that if I'm going to do something in my business that's a dramatic change or a big decision, I'm going to run it by these people to help me make the best decision that I can make. And that is so important to have those people.
It's your support circle.
Yeah.
That's everything. I think that makes and breaks you as a business owner, even in parenting. We all need moms to tell us, God, is that normal? I mean, is that right?
Yeah. Am I off the mark here?
Is it me or is it that? You're right. We all need that.
Yes.
I think that's just what's important. So just finding your people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what it's all about.
So important in business and in mentorship.
Yeah.
We haven't even touched upon the fact that you and your husband have this business together.
Kind of ish.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. So John builds homes. He's a general contractor, but he also does full remodels or whatever as well.
And
it's
still
Bogetti Construction.
Okay, Bogetti
His
Construction.
is Bogetti Construction. I know we use our last name quite
I
often.
have 3 businesses with the name Stafford in it. So yes.
Okay, so you like your last name? I mean, my license plate even says Bogetti.
I mean, I was very excited to take my husband's last name.
Yeah.
My maiden name is Straight.
Okay.
Like Strait.
Yeah.
Okay. It's fine.
It's fine.
But Stafford is I think it's a good name, like Bogetti.
It's a business name. I like
Yeah,
it.
so I'm with you on the
It's
multiple
good.
businesses.
I think it's branding too.
Yeah,
It's
it totally is.
when they're like, your name, Kara Bogetti, I own Bogetti Partners. It's just kind of all in the same. It's not, I don't know.
Plus, it was easy to come up with.
Yeah,
I didn't have to put a lot of thought into it.
It's
like, that only deserves 5 minutes of thought. Okay, next decision.
So he still is building in Napa, California. So he's been trying to exit that for a while, but he builds big customs. And so
it's hard.
We're on the last one. So then we're going to be done with California.
Good.
We're never going back to that. Then he can focus 100% here. But
Awesome.
He's been just doing remodels and stuff here while he's finishing.
Sure.
So he's traveling a lot still. But yeah, I mean, back there when we were really he would build a spec, I would sell it. Or, we do a lot of flips. So we do the remodel project together. And then so we are, I guess, in that way, partners. It makes it fun,
Do you have any rules?
I make the rules.
The only rule
I
is
make the
Kara
rules.
makes the rules.
I design it, and he
Yeah.
wants me to design it. I'm never in budget, so that's always an issue.
So he needs to give you a budget that's like
yes,
30% lower than what he actually has as a budget.
that's smart.
Does he do that?
No, but he should.
He should. You
Yeah.
should tell him that.
You should
That's
totally-
like I used to
Jim's
come
laughing.
home.
Yeah.
I don't really do that as much, but I guess I do. If I really want something, I will use this method, and my husband knows it, so I don't even know. Like I'm sharing this. First of all, he doesn't listen to my podcast anyways.
Oh, come on.
Does your husband listen to yours?
Actually, surprisingly, he told me he's like, listen to everyone.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, really?
I mean,
Even my kids have said they're listening.
I've got to just play it and make them listen to it.
He's listening.
You've been, how long have you been doing yours?
2 years.
Okay, so it's a little bit longer. They're probably
Yeah.
used to it. Mine is not quite as long, but I would be like, okay, I really like this purse, but it's this price.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Okay, fine. I'll settle for this one. Right? So it's like totally overshooting when it's not really.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
It's a good tactic.
But it
you're-
works?
I mean, yeah. And even when he knows it's happening, he's
Oh,
still
this
like,
is
okay, that's
amazing.
still better.
Oh my gosh. It's like, well, babe, I'm going to get one or the other.
Yeah, so which
would
one?
you rather me get the Louis or the Gucci? Where are we at?
Right. So
okay, I'm so using
you
that.
and your husband have have the rule. You make the decisions, and I think that is important
For the most
Well,
part.
I mean, somebody has to be the final decision maker.
Yeah.
Whoever it is in the process, there has to be one. And I had my friends Tim and Ashley from Fit15 who are clients of mine, and love these guys. They have put their heart and soul into their business. They're awesome, and they run a really smart business together. They've been a guest on the show too, and when I asked them that, they said, "Well, when Tim says the final say, that's what it is."
Yeah.
And they had to agree that one person is going to be the one, and they run a great business as a married couple, and that's not always easy. So
No, it's not easy. No, it's not easy. And I think it varies. Like if he's
Depending on the topic.
he's gonna listen to this and be like, "Oh yeah, Kara, you do not." But I mean, when it comes to design,
you meant he makes the rules, and you do whatever he says.
everything you say, honey, everything.
Yeah. That was all a joke.
But I think you have roles, and like
Sure.
things flip flop. I know what buyers are looking for because I'm in the market every day. You
Right.
need to have a primary downstairs. You need to. There's certain things that we have to when you're building a home for
Correct.
like the general public. You need to. So I kind of know that he
Yeah.
does too. But like, we work it out.
Yeah, but
It's
in certain
fun.
things, you have your own role. In certain things, you're the one that makes the decision on this. And but I think
Absolutely.
that's how most people probably
It's a give
operate
and
too.
take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have somebody's got to be in that expertise in that expert role.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you were talking to somebody, let's say they're like, I'm going to be specific with this ask
Okay.
because I think real estate is something a lot of people want to do, but they don't know how, and then they think, but so many people are doing it already. But you have all these young people that are coming in excited to learn, and you're mentoring them. If you had somebody that says, I want to get into real estate, but I don't think I'm going to be successful, what advice would you give them if they're feeling that, but they're not ready to take the plunge? So if I said, Kara, it's like, I know I've done a whole lot of other things in my life, but I really want to get into real estate, but I'm 42. What would you, is it even worth it for me to try?
So, like, do you want like the PC answer to that?
No,
or you
tell
want
me the
like the
truth.
raw.
Yeah.
If you don't have the confidence, you're not going to make it. Like, and I know that sounds very harsh, but like, I just actually had this scenario. So, a good friend of mine's sister. I'm not saying names because I'm
Nope.
sure somebody's
We
going to
don't
watch
have
this.
to say name.
She messaged me. She lives in California. She's like later 30s, and she's like, "Okay, I've always followed you. Like, you're who I look up to. I really want to dabble and get into real estate, but I don't want to spend all the money on taking the test if I'm not going to succeed." And right there, it was like
You're not going to.
red flags. Like,
If you ever, if you go into it with that attitude,
it's just not going to.
It's not gonna work.
It's not going to work. And you might see, because like fake book, right? Facebook, we call it fake book because everybody puts on all their highs. There's never any lows. Well, guess what? Not every month people are selling multiple millions of dollars of homes. Okay. There's months when you might not sell a house. So like when you see all that and you think paychecks are coming left and right and you're making all this money, it's false advertisement. Real estate's a freaking grind. And if you do not have the hustle, or in the beginning, I would say if you don't have a little financial backing and you're quitting your job and you're going full throttle, that makes me a little nervous for new people too, because you probably aren't going to sell something the first month. Historically, it takes about 6 months for you to get your first deal. So, my thing is, if you don't have the confidence already and you're already second guessing yourself, it's going to be scary for you, and it's probably not going to pan out the way you're expecting it to. And no one's going to be able to give you like, here's everything, go, you know what I'm saying?
I 100% know what you're saying. I call it grit and tenacity because it is confidence. It's confidence in yourself enough to say, I'm betting on me.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to give up. So
Correct.
if I came to you and said, I'm 42 and I want to start my real estate career, but I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it happen.
Let's
You're
roll.
like, let's go.
Let's do this.
Because I'm committed. It's kind of like when you enter a marriage, you have to say, and you married your high school sweetheart. So how long have you guys been married?
We just celebrated 20 years.
So you're only 20, you got married at 9?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yes.
we're at 19 years for us.
Yeah, see, girl.
And
It's awesome.
when you make that decision, you have to say, I'm in it. Because there's
no
always the
alternative.
ability to walk away. That like in marriages, there's an ability to walk away.
Sure.
And there's nothing, I'm not coming at anyone who didn't stay married. Okay. So I don't need to hear that because I this is not a personal attack on anybody.
Right.
I'm simply saying I've been married 19 years. You've been married 20 years. There's probably a heck of a lot of times where you could say, I could have walked away or he could have walked away. Right.
Yeah.
But you made the decision to stay. And while it's not a marriage podcast here, the same rule applies when you start your business. You have to say, I'm going to do it no matter what it takes.
Absolutely.
And if you give yourself an out, you're going to take it.
Oh my gosh. Times are tough in general. Like, so if you're not, you have to be full in. And even part-time realtors, it's hard. It's just hard because
anything part-time is hard when you're growing a business. And you're
Yes.
growing a business.
Yeah, you can't. Oh, on Saturday, well, I can't show property today. Well, most people want to, and guess what? There's another agent that will.
Yeah, you better be ready to.
Yeah.
The other part that you mentioned that I think is also really valid is the financial piece.
Yeah.
Of if you are not leaving with a safety net, leaving whatever you're doing to walk into something where you're an entrepreneur and you're building a business, whether it's real estate or coaching or building houses, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you need to make money today, you are not going to be successful, period.
Right.
Because you are so caught up in what's in it for you that you're not focused on the people on the other side.
Amen, girlfriend.
And that comes across. People can hear it, they can feel it, and you might have some wins, but you won't sustain it.
Sure.
You have to be in a place where you can say, I'm going to do the right thing for the person, not the paycheck.
Yes.
And when you
that's
can do
big.
it's huge and it speaks to character, which is probably how you choose some of these people. But that's one piece of advice I like to say is you've got to make sure that you are in a position where you can try something different. Otherwise, you're not going to see the success.
No, and you're also going to have to invest in yourself, which costs money. Like, getting your license costs money. Getting, your headshots, like all the little things, it does add up,
And you have to do
marketing. You have
you
to
have
do
to
it.
advertise.
Otherwise, you're just one of a million of us. That's why I mentioned earlier, like we like to go to the restaurants or go out for cocktails, and you're leading. It's annoying, but you're almost leading with, "Yes, I sell homes." Like, wait, are you looking? Are you in the market? And it's uncomfortable, but you have to I've said multiple times, get out of your own way and sell yourself, which is not easy for most people. So it goes back to the confidence thing. If you're already second guessing your confidence from this then it's just, I don't think it's probably going to be your path.
You probably need to go back and work at a desk job or something
For somebody that's going to give you a steady
And there's
paycheck.
nothing wrong with that if that's your
No.
decision. And I think that's something people need to accept is you may want the result of owning your own business or the result of whatever career path that is.
Yeah.
But if you don't enjoy the process, you won't ever get that result to begin with.
Correct.
You have to find a love for the day-to-day.
Yeah.
Because
I love it.
do you want to get up on Saturdays by nature and go, no, but now you kind of do. You're like, but I'm going to get to go do what I love. So it's something I want to do. You have to fall in love with the journey, not the result.
And that's a hard one for most people because they're so money driven. Everybody's money driven, it seems like, and especially like these agents. And it's like, if you're not going to pay them what they want, they're not showing your property. And so it's like, I want to just yell at them and be like, stop living by the paycheck and actually do your clients the service, because you're not. If they knew we were having this conversation, they would probably be pretty discouraged in you.
You have to put people first.
Like relationships over transactions.
Amen. And when you think about the fact that money can drive people to do something they don't want to do, but then they look back at their life, 10 years later and go, I don't even like what I'm doing. You know how
Right.
people do that?
Oh my gosh. I would say
So then
majority.
what you need to do is get a financial coach. My friend David Gibbs was just on here. He's a financial coach, and plan to change your career and make a financial plan to make the change, but don't jump before you have a safety net,
Right.
because then you're not going to be successful.
No.
Okay. I think that we could probably talk forever. So I'm going to have to invite myself onto your podcast.
Yes!
And then you have to come
Please
back
do. I
on
know.
mine.
I love this.
And you are awesome, Kara. So Kara Bogetti. I also just love saying your last name. Bogetti Partners. There's a little bit of Italian in you.
Just
right?
a tad.
A little bit. Can you tell everybody where to find you? Because we got to hear who you are as a person today and how you run your brokerage. Can you tell everybody where to find you?
Yeah, I mean, we're all over social media. So Instagram, the Bogetti Partners, Facebook on the Bogetti Partners. The website's thebogettipartners.com. We're located right here at Berry Farms. So you can come by and see us anytime. But
Awesome.
Easy to find me. Or just find my personal page is just Kara Bogetti. So
Perfect.
type in Bogetti. You'll find me somewhere.
And it's Bogetti.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we got that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Kara. It was
Thank
great.
you.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Make sure that you please give us a review. 5 stars. If it's not 5 stars, just send me a message privately. Like, share, follow, and send it to someone who think it might help. Thanks for being here.